Go live. All right. And it looks like we are live and we've got the right name again this time. Take two, everybody. Thank you so much for bearing with us. I just did not want the wrong title of the episode to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that previous post because it's not correct. We got the first one. We're back. Okay. And we're going to do a little bit. Huh?
Yeah, welcome back, everybody, to another episode
of Citiz3n Glitch.
Citiz3n Glitch.
I'm Red Alark. He's QTIP. So he just so basically, no matter how many shitty things happen to you in crypto, you just thought there has to be a better way.
100%. And you know, I came to the conclusion that I wanted to move into the higher dimensions after this life because when you do bad things, it ties to your soul. And you may have a soul contract here that you're supposed to do many good things, but you disobey that and you get stuck in a reincarnation loop, or you just burn in hell. Because karma is very real and universal laws are very real. And if you mess up and you rug people back to back to back, you may just end up going to the lower dimensions. And those lower dimensions have very low frequencies. And if you live in that, you embed that. So yeah. With all that being said, I said, you know what? Let me create a project that won't do that, that will have amazing message to it, but also fusing all of my passions together and the path that I didn't really go on. By fusing that with this, I said, you know what? I could do this. And I can change crypto in a way where we can become a mature industry.
No, I mean, that completely like makes sense to me, like 100%, right? So, I mean, you never mentioned chaos. Isn't chaos kind of part of it? I mean, and you never mentioned like, well, you and I have spoken a little bit about this, but that on whatever level, I don't even know exactly what level, and that's kind of like why we're having this conversation today, that there's a spiritual part of, a concept called the Galactic Federation that you said really it has inspired you to do good things in your life.
Yes.
And to be the hero, to step up and be the hero.
Yes, to step up and do something with the information I know in a way that I can present it through my brand and tokenization, and not only help my community, but help the world at large have a higher consciousness and use the term plur in their life: peace, love, unity, and respect. These are fundamental characteristics of the Galactic Federation. Now, the messages and the channeling that has happened here with QTIP is profound. And to go into detail about it is something that I hold close to my heart. But at the same time, I want people to understand that it's not just me that's here, that's getting these channels, that's getting these messages. There's a bunch of light workers out there that are doing things, and we don't even know each other, but we're on the same mission. And I believe I'm a part of that mission, but here on crypto. Here in a world where everybody gets machine guns and shoots at each other in a PvP style fashion. I kind of want to change that. I kind of want to help the industry mature with QTIP, with my lore, with my comics, with my music, with my entertainment, with my voice, with my speech. And that's what I'm here to do.
That's good. I mean, your story, it's so nice and it's so lovely. I mean, and I think I told you before, part of the reason like why your story resonates with me is like, I don't have like comics coming out in a week or two or anything, but I was actually telling QTIP that the Red Alark was actually designed to be a hero just to save me from my own bullshit. Because if we're talking more about heroes, it's like, if you're going to try to help other people and heal other people, you also have to be willing to look at you and the things that you're doing that are not good, and even not necessarily things that you're doing that's always bad, but just like letting go of things that are just awful, right? Like For me, my origin story, like, how did I know I could fly? Well, I told you, Q-tip. A man hit me so hard once, I flew high up in the air. And now I know I can fly. Ah! No, I'm kidding. I mean, no, I'm not kidding. That really did happen. But you know, here's the thing. Shout out to anybody who's had that problem. I'm going to throw the number for the National Domestic Abuse Hotline in the comments here today, because the reality is that stuff like this happens all the time. And, you know, I found out when I was more vocal about it, not speaking about every detail because that's not necessary, that it happens a lot to a lot of people, and it happens to a lot of men, and they don't admit it. But what people don't know is, you know, these organizations, they're not only there just to give you help, like in terms of if you need to find a shelter or something, but some of them will help you pay for relocation costs. They'll help you find a job somewhere else. So you're not lost. You're not alone. There actually is help out there. And if some of you are thinking like, oh, how could I have ever allowed that to happen? Does that mean I was broken in the first place? Blah, 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 and all this and that. And it's like, you can take accountability for it, right? Q-tip is going to talk more about, we're all going to talk about, you know, accountability, because that's a big part of what becomes a hero, and we should be accountable. But at the very same time, you have to think, well, you know, maybe I allowed some of these things because they're so familiar. It's almost like if you could click your heels, you'd be right there. Okay. But yeah, no, going on, like, you know, I mean, like, so with your comics, right? Like, is it okay for us to tease a little bit of the story? Because you could have been angry. You could have kept all of these things inside, but instead you were like, no, I want to create like a comic instead. Q-tip.
100%. Yes. The comic books is definitely going to get into detail about my struggle, my literal, you know, dealing with death and things that happened that I could have prevented. But it happened. And I said, you know, if I went down that path, I'm going to get Charlie Kirk and shot in the head because of the evidence that I have. And I said, you know what? I want to use my talent to show the world my story and at the same time help the world. And in the comic books, it's going to get into detail about that. It's going to show who died and how it happened. And, you know, that really shook me to my core. It almost turned me into a villain.
Yeah?
Not a good one. A one that was ready to do some stuff. I won't really say here. But
something stopped you.
Yeah, it was the Galactic Federation's channeling through other people to myself that pushed the message of unity and peace to help this planet move into higher vibrations. And by doing that, in turn, moving all of consciousness to a higher state, not through revenge, not through fear, not through attacking people, but by loving each other, uniting, and prospering. And there is a side of me that's going to show you guys that path in the comic books and in detail a little bit here, but there's something holding me back, not really getting into detail just right now. But yes, it had to do with a death in the family, and it had to do with something that happened in 2020. And it gets very deep, very, very deep. That kind of propelled me into this.
Okay, so without spelling it out, you lost someone in 2020 that you loved.
Yeah, it started in 2020, and then they passed in 2023, and that's when everything changed.
Oh, well, I mean, definitely something like that definitely does change people. But also, I guess on a more positive note, like, you know, for some people, when something like that happens, they actually go on a journey to honor the person who's no longer with them, you know. I mean, and sometimes I think about, like, you know, certain people, and I think, well, what would they want me to do right now? They wouldn't want me just moping and not like trying to lead a better life. They would want me to you know, to carry on, you know. So that's kind of like where that is.
Yeah, that's exactly what that person would want me to do, is carry on and to enjoy life and prosper. And I was specifically told not to do what I wanted to do. Um,
You had a dream telling you not to do bad things?
no, 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 no. The person that passed away told me this before they passed away, not to do what I was going to do. Even
Okay.
close family told me not to do it because it's it's essentially a road that would probably end my life quicker than expected. And I want to enjoy life and I want to help people do things better in their life through my talents. I don't want my talents to go to waste. And I want to protect myself in a way where I can enjoy myself, also point people in the right direction, and tell my story through comic book telling. I am teasing everybody right now in a way where I'm not giving out too much information, but kind of telling people what really happened in a way. You know, I'm kind
Yeah,
of
but
sugarcoating it.
that's something you and I talked about, right? And I think that is a hard tightrope we all walk as artists, right? And yes, I consider all of us artists if we are being creative rather than destructive. Even if you don't think you're an artist, if you are making the choice to create rather than destroy, you are an artist, whether you like it or
Yeah.
not. But like, I love that you were specifically told by the person that you lost, that you loved, to not do those things. Because if you think about it, that's like whatever that love that you had with that individual was so great that it was powerful enough to transcend beyond life, beyond death, and make you, continue down this path. Another example of someone that I always kind of look up as inspiring. I don't know if you all in the audience have heard of Ernestine Shepherd, 89 years old, oldest female bodybuilder in the world, made the Guinness Book of World Records. Ernestine didn't grow up working out, going to the gym, nothing. And then what happened, when she was in her mid 50s, her sister passed away. And it was very obviously upsetting and very tragic because her sister was her best friend and they did everything together. But like a couple of months before they died, before her sister died, they were going to the gym together. They were working out together. And they said, oh, we're going to get in shape, right? And I don't know why I'm getting emotional. I don't know Ernestine, but I just always loved her. She, I mean, like, I have never met her personally. That's what I mean. She had a dream where her sister was basically telling her that she needed to keep going to the gym and keep working out. And I thought that was so beautiful. And then she obviously went on to be the amazing bodybuilder that she is. And she teaches, senior citizens how to work out. But it's just like, it just proves that love really is the most powerful force there is, despite us, feeling like sometimes it's lost. But it's never lost. Sometimes just placed differently. But I think it's beautiful that, now we've really gotten to the heart of like, it was that love that propelled you forward. And also you said you felt some channeling from, what you feel is the galactic, federation. And oftentimes
Through this
people,
death, it reminded me about my soul contract here, that I was supposed to do something that is more than meets the eye.
yeah,
And I was going to go down a path that was very destructive and would have ruined me financially, would have ruined my family, would have ruined anything and everything I wanted in this ultimate timeline. And the person I loved that passed wouldn't want me to go down that road.
right.
And because of that, I took that energy and, like you said, instead of destroying, I created. And now I'm building my own little federation here on Solana. And now these people here in this federation we call QTIP will show the world peace, love, unity, and respect without destroying anything, with diplomatic understandings.
No, I mean, you're not wrong, right? So it is really, it's powerful to hear you talk about going from that chaos where you were going to go down a destructive path to like deciding to become, something else instead. And symbolically, right, that actually mirrors what's really happening in Solana right now. Okay. So we often think of like the 90s, right? And I like to think of the 90s as like the medieval era of cypherpunk. like humans with manifestos. But, what Solana has become, right? I would say it's like a cypherpunk renaissance. I think that's a little more, accurate, right? And back then, it was a theory, but today we've got AI agents needing privacy to survive. We've got confidential tokens going live on Solana. And it's not just about hiding, it's about like building a new world. And you mentioned before that the Galactic Federation of Light influenced us in this new renaissance, where tools are like real code and they're not just myths. Do you see the Federation in your comic as an organization, as symbolic framework, or whatever you want to answer today? Like, I was just curious.
I see them as the 10 million year ancient group that has put rules to the road for the universe and other planets. And if some planet is acting up and some type of species is messing with the planet, they're going to come and they're going to fix it. But they don't ever really intervene. But if there's something that's supposed to happen, like Earth transcending into a higher frequency, and that species is stopping it, they're going to intervene. And it's not going to be on TV. It's not going to be in the newspaper. It's not going to be on Channel 7. It's going to be in secret, and the world will keep on spinning. Because we're destined to go into the ultimate timeline here on this Earth, on this timeline. But this is what I believe. A lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people are doomers. I used to be a doomer too. Now I'm a blind optimist because I know things now and I understand things now. And, there is a yin yang of life, and there has to be a lot of difficult things that happen to people for them to learn and evolve to this light that I'm trying to push through my transmission, through my frequency, through my live streams, through my content. And in turn, I think that will help. I am humble. It may not work. I may just have to swallow the full black pill. There was a time where I was completely black pilled because I thought, ain't nothing gonna stop this shit. But now I know there's powers out there that will help us, but they're not gonna show up to our front door. They're gonna do it behind the scenes.
Okay, all right. That's actually really fascinating. And honestly, what you're describing kind of reminds me about how Anatoly Yakovenko had his own epiphany in 2017. It wasn't really from aliens per se, but just realizing that time itself could be a cryptographic primitive via proof of history, right? So that was like the spark, right? What I would say for the entire Renaissance. How does your character's magic mirror that, real world breakthrough of using code to create trust without intermediaries?
Sorry, repeat that one more time. My audio just like took out.
Oh, no, it's totally fine. Yeah, no, we're good. Like, so are you familiar with Anatoly Yakovenko? How he had, well, I'll just say he had his epiphany in 2017, but it was from realizing that time itself could be a cryptographic primitive via proof of history, right? And that was like his like magical moment, right? And I think we all, as different beings, we experience magical moments in different ways. Would you say that your character's magic in a way kind of mirrors that breakthrough of using code to create trust without intermediaries, or it's a completely different, entirely the way that you use code in your stories?
It's completely different. This is this is a message by frequency, and the message that QTIP got was by frequency, by channeling, meditation, through prayer also. And in the story, code is involved, but not in a way where it's on the computer. It's in the way where you break through in meditation, and you break through in channeling, and you break through to those higher densities and speak with entities. Now, there are cheat codes out there to get to that point. And one day I did do a cheat code, and I did break through, and I did sit down with the Golden Buddha, and the Golden Buddha explained everything to me and downloaded every single point of why we're here and why the cosmos is here and why they're there. And because it was so profound, when I came back from that, I lost a lot of the information, but I still understand it till this day. And because it was so profound in such a high density state, coming back to this three-dimensional model, you can barely explain it to people. If you explain it to people, they're going to think you're crazy. So I keep a lot of that stuff to my heart, but I know what I have to do, and I know what I'm aligned with. And that's the Galactic Federation's characteristics: peace, love, unity, respect.
Yeah.
Not destroying.
Well, here's the thing. I've been a little bit more, I know what you're talking about. You don't want to reveal certain visions or certain dreams, and right to privacy, right? And, you know, the Fourth Amendment, the right to be silent, right? We love that. But what I have found with like discussing some of these things, right? When I talk to certain friends, and obviously you do you, and like obviously respect yourself in terms of what you always feel comfortable sharing or not sharing, right? But I used to ignore some of these quote unquote dreams I would have. And you have very, you know, vivid visions, right? But because I just thought, oh, well, if I tell somebody that I dreamed this or I dreamed that, then they're going to think I'm completely nuts, right? But a lot of times, however we view these things, it's not necessarily always literal, but it is symbolic to help us, to guide us through whatever the next choice is going to be. So there are, you know, certain, you know, one of the dreams that I had involved a community that ended up rugging the community like a year and a half later. And I thought I was crazy. Like, no, this is just like, I'm just nuts. But then it happened. I guess I just like had like a sense, and I don't really want to describe that, like what happened in that dream, like with too much detail. But you guys, you know, your dreams are smarter than what you think. They're always kind of leading you to some kind of truth, usually, even if it's just, you know, even if it's just telling you about some kind of anxiety you might have, you're always learning about yourself. And so I think it's a good thing. And I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah, just to get into a little bit more detail, I did use the spirit molecule to get to the Golden Buddha. And if you can read between the lines, audience, you can read between the lines on that one. But
yeah,
the spirit molecule is what actually gave me those downloads and started this journey back in, I don't know, 2017 or something like that. But that was the first real breakthrough to the higher dimensions. And my soul does align with the Buddha and Jesus Christ. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't like that. But I do represent Christ consciousness, where I can forgive, but I won't forget. And then trust me, I've been rug pulled. I've been lied to. I've been scammed. And these MFers know who I'm talking about. But I'm not even going to say their name to give them any type of fucking spotlight.
No, they don't need free marketing. Right? I mean, like, look, there's a time and a place to call. Oh, love it. You got some beautiful audio in the background. Like, if at the end you don't mind giving us a little bit of like sample of your music, I'd probably love that.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Well, at the end, you know, just a little bit, like, just so they can, it's like a teaser, because you guys, he does these amazing DJ streams every Saturday, and he just lights up the whole room. No, you're freaking great. Like, I had the opportunity to watch you do that last time, which is great. So your character basically needs to bring order to what sounds like a world of chaos, right? And
correct.
Unfortunately, yeah, there's a lot of chaos, right? Understanding, you know, I think once a lot of people understand that Solana is really creating, you know, cypherpunk as Renaissance, right? Then, you know, I think that's really going to help, because they have such amazing toolkits. And you and I were talking about some of this. Does your character use any of the tools from Solana? Is it okay to ask if they use any of the tools from Solana to escape their chaos? Because Solana's got amazing tools. They're definitely planning for the future.
Yeah, when you talk about future, maybe a QTIP in the comic book uses Solana chain to send transactions across planets and universes.
Oh, really? Sorry, I get excited. Does he really?
There's gonna be a lot of cool time travel stuff because I love time travel. You know, at the end of the day, I think there's one massive time travel thing that's happening right now. You know, but yeah, I love time travel.
Okay. Well, that's really cool. I mean, so I kind of like that. I mean, but you know, as it is with the classic hero's journey, right? Everybody knows the wizard holds the keys to knowledge, right? And we know Solana was built using Rust, you know, known for its safety and performance to prevent the bugs that plague the other chains. And I think that's like a big, you know, hallmark. Um, and I think that's great. And your character also uses a Q-tip motif, right? So, um, how do you claim that symbol in your comic? You know, to mean something different than what people would expect it to, or does it not mean something different than what people would expect it to mean?
So a lot of people think that Q-tip is actually a Q-tip that you pluck with your ears, and
Oh,
that's not the case. I picked the name Q. Yeah, right. Isn't that funny?
yes, no, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so I picked the name Q-tip because Q-tip is what I used to be called as a teenager because I was very skinny and I had an afro. And I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and take that name and implement it into my brand because one, it only has 4 letters and it fits the ticker very well. And two, a lot of people know me as Q-tip and personally. And I thought it was going to be kind of cool to show that. But what I've come to terms with is that Q-tip is the device that we use here at Q-tip Industries to go ahead and pluck out all that bad frequency from your ear that you've been soaking in, the toxic soup of propaganda and bullshit. Q-tip's here to unplug all that shit and clean your ears out.
No. Oh, so it's a symbol for like cleansing yourself from bullshit.
There we go.
Fucking love that. Oh, I mean,
You got it.
no, every superpower kind of needs to be representative of something. Otherwise, it's just like, well, what's the point, right?
Yeah, it kind
Because
of worked out that way because I was named Q-tip as a young teenager because I was, again, skinny and I had an afro. But as I made the name and then I came up with the idea, you know what? Q-tip fits this perfectly. The frequencies that we are embedded in are lowering our vibrational force, our aura, and making us do fear-based systems. So I said, you know what? The Q-tip is perfect. It takes out all that wax, the bullshit, lower frequency shit, and removes it and puts you in a new hearing state where you can actually understand the peace, love, unity, respect frequency.
I had no idea it came from like a childhood name.
Yeah, that's exactly where it came from, and it kind of manifested into that, which worked out great. Maybe it was destined to be.
No, it was. It's not maybe, like it was.
Oh, no,
Um,
100%. Now that I think about it, yes.
yeah. No, I mean it's good to have like stories like that. But so for you, it's all about just like getting rid of the bad stuff, and that's kind of like what the Q-tip represents.
Yeah, it's funny. They don't even call them Q-tips anymore. They don't even advertise them as earwax pluckers. They advertise them as keyboard cleaners.
Really? That's
Yeah, I think they got sued, a bunch of them, because people are just pushing the Q-tip too far down the ear and breaking their eardrum.
yeah, I can relate. That's how I ended up
Yeah.
in not the ER. I ended up in urgent care because I had been doing that for a long time. And and then at one point I called the doctor and I was like, I haven't been able to really hear for like 5 days in a row. They're like, you
Yeah.
need to go to urgent care today. But yeah, but like it's so guys, do not stick the Q-tip down your ears like to clean
Do
them. Like,
not.
don't do it.
You need your eardrum for tomorrow.
There's wonderful products out there that can help you keep them clean, like Debrox. I don't know if you've heard of that, guys, but you can order that on Amazon. It comes with some tools. I mean, there are some of you that you have such clogged ears, you may need to go to a professional, periodically just to get them cleaned out. But a lot of people they can use tools like Debrox. But yes, don't put the Q-tip up your ear, guys.
You know, they made like this suction thing where you can like, there's like a bubble thing where you push it down, and you stick it in your ear, and then you release it, and it just sucks it all out. Forget what it was called, but I tried that one time because I had water in my ear. Done in seconds. So screw the Q-tips, but follow Q-tip.
But like it's fine. But you're saying people are still using them to clean keyboards, and it's all about just cleaning, which kind of makes me think about like detoxing, right? I've got some
100%.
friends here that their job is actually to help people who are suffering from addiction to get clean.
There you go. There you go.
Right? I mean, because part of like the hero's journey, y'all, I mean, like, yes, of course, they're saving the world and blah, blah, blah. Right. But if you think about every hero's journey, they go through a period where they're resisting their own power. Like they don't trust their own power. They feel like they're just going to hurt people or whatever. Or they want to be normal. They want to fit in. But you know how it is. When you try to be something you're not, even though it sucks. Like, I mean, like, I'm going to be honest, like sometimes it's just, you feel the weight of the consequences of just being who you are. Right. But life is a battle to be who you are, or at least it has felt that way for myself. But the more you embrace that, you would never want to go back to lying, pretending you're something you're not, to not using your own power. Because once when people feel empowered and they are in touch with their own power, they're going to make better decisions, and they're not going to, engage in more manipulative action. Because I know some people are thinking right now, but there's people in power, they're awful and they want to control. And it's like, yeah, because they don't truly like trust in their own power. That's why they have to control other people.
Yep, that's why they use the fear-based systems and the propaganda. And, there's plenty of light workers here on Earth that are trying to flip that through different social networks. I see a lot of this on TikTok. If you just scroll, you'll eventually find a light worker doing Reiki. And then you click the live, and next thing you know, your fucking pineal gland is throbbing.
For real? Is that for real, Q-tip?
You should definitely try it out. Yeah, I'll send you some of these light workers that I've been watching, and let me tell you, I go in the comments and I say, "Hey sis, we both know our mission here, and the Galactic Federation sent us." And when she saw that message, she almost started crying because she believed it too. A lot of people are on the same mission that I am on, but we don't even know each other. That's the beauty of this. And eventually, we're all gonna know each other, because shit's gonna probably hit the fan, and we're gonna have to use our voice and our messaging and our brands to keep the peace, love, unity, and respect on this planet. It's a big mission. There's big players that are involved, but at the same time, I know together as a civilization, when we all figure it out, it's game over.
I mean, or new game start.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, like, look. Let's be optimistic, and for those of you in the audience who have never heard me talk about optimism, let me be very clear. There is a very distinctive difference between optimism and delusion. And I'm never going to advocate for being delusional. I know some people think it's trendy to say that, but like, why would you be delusional and not be honest with yourself about everything that you're doing? Whereas you could be optimistic and actually work towards a better world and work towards solutions based on, what's in reality. And I mean, that's really important. So for me, this leads me back to Solana, where you're on. Salami. So Solana, to me, a lot of it's really about radical optimism, right? It's about healing the split between tech and nature, right? So if the Federation is a blueprint for a better society in your comic, how does it like mirror some of Solana's real world achievements, like becoming, carbon neutral while processing, thousands of transactions per second, like what I would say a true renaissance in digital infrastructure?
I would say that it relates in a way where there are sort of type of little federations within Solana, a bunch of different ones that are essentially blowing up, but at the same time, they're learning and they're growing with the technology and with the updates that are coming to Solana, like the quantum proof and the TPS acceleration. You know, this type of upgrades and this type of moving in the right direction fits the narrative of the Galactic Federation's message, is to keep learning and keep doing better. And in Solana, I see a culture that is striving for the best of the best, no matter, and they're doing whatever it takes, and I respect that. But eventually, everybody on Solana is going to be one, and they're going to probably be the chain that speaks for everybody in crypto. And because of that, I said, my foot is cementing here on Solana, and I'm going to go ahead and try to do what I need to do here on Solana, because I see it. I see in the future, the influencers on Solana are going to be a big deal. They're going to have a lot of sway. And if I can get in there and talk to these people and help in a way where we can help the planet, I feel like my soul contract is sort of completed. And I did what I needed to do. So I see that here on Solana, and it relates directly to the Galactic Federation, because a bunch of these federations are going to fail, and then eventually they're all going to come together, because Solana is the chain, I think, that's going to surpass a lot of chains because of the culture and the people that are on it, and also the development. The development's never stopping, and that's great. Because
No, it's
development.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Carry on.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, I mean, like it's really good in that way, and like in the last 2 years, they've got like a lot of refi stuff. And like shout out to the tree gens. I'm part of that little fama tree. I mean, what is Jimmy, who he just put the tree gens, they're just now on Solana, right? Before they were on base. And fun fact for the audience, when they were on base, I said, absolutely not. I'm not going to be an ambassador. But he went to Solana, and I said, yeah, okay. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's not enough just to say that Solana is really in, a cypherpunk renaissance, right? Because it is different now. It has evolved, but for the better, not for the worse, with all the refi stuff that they have going on. And also just things that are what I would consider, I would go so far as to say they're leaning towards solar punk. I think that, I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, but.
What did you say, solar what?
Solar punk.
What's solar punk?
Oh, well, that's going to be something new that we're going to all have to start talking about. So saying we ruin the earth, or even if we don't ruin the earth, we're going to have to invest more in technologies that are actually using the earth in a way to help us. And we're helping the earth, like things that use wind, use energy, or I mentioned about what Solana is doing with carbon, so just things that are just better for the planet. And that's not a terminology that I feel like has been, talked about as much, but I think we're going to have to start talking about it more. But in order for any of these things to exist, like I think they've been really smart in investing in quantum resistant technology. I told you about all the things that they were investing in terms of being able to work offline, so in times of war, you'd still be able to use it because, but I think that, all of these things are great. So, yeah, I
love Solana so much.
You love it so much.
Yeah.
You probably just already knew, right? And I know for some of you, you're probably thinking, oh my God, did you turn into a maxi like Jimmy, who's the head of the Tree Gens, has accused me of becoming a maxi. I'm not a maximalist, right? As one of my heroes likes to say, maximalism is a disease, right? And that's none other than, you guessed it, Mr. Justin Bonds. But on the other hand, there's a difference between being a maxi and being bullish, right? If you're a maxi, it's like, the Colts can do anything they want. I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to speak out. I'm not going to, say that anything's wrong. But if you're bullish, it's like, well, you can speak out against things that you don't necessarily think are working on the chain. But you want to be respectful about it. I think especially, but that goes back to your whole principles of love, respect, peace, and unity because you want it to win. But yeah, I mean, like, I think there's nothing wrong with being bullish, but don't be a maxi. It just makes you an idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's always good to practice diversification and portfolio. Always looking at your portfolio and making sure your winners are winning and cutting your losers. Because if you diversify too much and you have a lot of losers, if you don't cut them, you're never gonna get on the train. You're just gonna be sitting there. So I've done that a lot through my past because I had I had a lot of losers. Shout out to my losers. Y'all taught me a lot of fucking lessons. But anyways.
I'm sorry. I like it when you get wild like this.
Yeah, I can fuck around and find out if I need to. But hey, the losers taught me some shit, and I'm gonna respect that. Shout out to my losers, and shout out to my winners. Shout out to Bitcoin. Shout out to Solana. Shout out to QTIP. Those are the winners.
Right. So, you know, taking things back. Okay, so your hero, I'm guessing, I'm not wrong here. Your hero fights. Your hero fights for sovereignty. Your hero fights, you know, for privacy. So, in the comic, who or what can we expect as the antagonist? Is it going to be a group? Is it going to be a systematic issue like surveillance capitalism? I mean, I'm just curious, right? Because, you know, now Solana is integrating zero knowledge proofs and confidential transfers, you know, via token, you know, 2022 to give users real privacy. I mean, this is what I would say is the Renaissance answer to the enemy. Is this the kind of magic that your hero wields, perhaps?
You see, that what you just mentioned with privacy is one of many villains in the QTIP story. You have the rug artists, the scam artists, you have the political craziness that will be tied to it. You have the horrible wars that have been going on. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be tied into the QTIP comics that we'll talk about a lot of different villains, but won't specifically call them out because you're gonna know who I'm talking about when they're in the comics without specifically calling them out. Because QTIP wants the story to go on forever and ever, and I don't want to be sued into oblivion because I use somebody's character. So, you know, I'm going to design it in a way where it's a little changed up, but many people that have screwed people over in my team and in my family will be in the comics. Many people that have screwed over the world are going to be in my comics. Many people that have screwed over freedom and the Constitution will be in my comics. And my comics will never end. It's like an endless story of real stories that will be put into my comic that are directly aligned with my timeline and what happened to me. And I'm going to explain it. And the comics, I hope, are a hit because this is based on true stories. So we'll see how it goes. But yes, privacy, freedom, Constitution, all the stuff they want to throw out will be inside of that story because we have to protect that. We need our privacy.
Well, we are like, oh God, I realized like it's a lot of it is what is the values of America, right? And yes, as I've said previously, we don't always follow the Constitution.
We the people, baby. We the people.
But it's there. And because it's there, we should continue to fight for it. And not everyone has that. And I mean, I have lived in, you know, other places, you know, I've done this and that. You know, and I lived in Japan, really liked it there, but that's another story for another day.
I would so live in Japan.
It's nice. But the thing is like, I don't think a lot of people realize, you know, just the amount of opportunity, you know, for freedom that we actually have here. But we always need to be on guard. We always need to be, you know, kind of like fighting for that. So it's interesting for you. What you described is there's going to be multiple different enemies. And one of them is going to be like the surveillance enemy. And if they are all interconnected enemies? I guess we'll have to find that out in the comics. Maybe they're not, but maybe they are.
There is a web that connects them all because they're all related to my life and they all are ruining the things I enjoy and love. And privacy is one of them. And yeah, they do want to take away privacy. They would love, I mean, we don't have to get into the weeds so much, but
Oh, whatever you want.
anything and everything you do on your phone is being watched. Your IP and your VPN is meaningless to the government. They can go right through that. They can brute force that in a second. So if you're a target, they'll get you. And that's not right. We deserve privacy. We deserve freedom. And I'm going to talk about that in my comics.
Okay. What I think is kind of interesting here is you said you're going to make it very accurate to your actual story, right? And you want to involve, historical figures. Like some of the older comics have used some of that a little bit. And I was at a meetup with some of my friends who actually feel like some of these comics were actually just created to make people 100% like pro-America, like obviously like Captain America, right? But I think what you want to do is actually bring like history like full on into it. So you want to make this almost like literally like a realistic hero, not like, I mean, like some, oh, what happened? You there?
Sorry about that. I was just checking my battery level. It's on low, but I was just checking it real quick. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Like it's all right. We can close down soon if you want. But I mean, like, I actually think that that's brilliant, right? Because, even if like and even if the powers are a little bit different, or even some elements are fantastical, the closer to actually, pointing people to what's really going on, I think it's a good thing. And you know what the song says? Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction.
That's so true.
Right.
The truths that are out there would completely devastate people's brains. The things that are going on right now. And a lot of people have talked about it. And a lot of people go missing talking about it. So
it's unfortunate.
I got to be strategic with what I say and what I do. And the comic books, I think, is the best way to do it. Now, don't get me wrong. If I get into a mood, I'll say some shit. But tonight, I'm pretty reserved. And
wait, do you want to fix that?
I mean, down the road, we'll see how poppin' it gets, and we'll see what happens. But I want to test the waters first. I don't want to be so deep end with it. I'm just in the shallow area swimming right now, and we'll get to the deep end. And the comic books will have people are gonna have a lot of questions about this stuff, and I'll be there to answer it.
But I think that's good. And here's the thing, right? You and I have spoken about, offline. You and I have spoken about. First of all, you mentioned that we're always being watched, well, in more ways than one. I've talked about this with one of our wonderful friends, Molecular. Shout out to you, Mo. I fucking love you, girl. But, she was just telling me about all the companies that are like watching you all the time. And it's like, and there are a few methods that you can engage in to have some level of privacy. And, when you and I even spoke about that too. And with some of these, with Solana investing in some of these things that you can use offline, I think that's going to be important for people who want to communicate and they want to just send messages as they will, because throughout history, right, people have always found ways to send messages to different people, and it was only meant to be seen by X, Y, and Z person. But another thing that's very powerful about like telling your story, but not all the way telling your story, is because no matter what, I know, and I know that you do too, always want to empower people to think. And I always like to say, and to feel for yourself, not somebody else's fake ass feeling that they put in you, or somebody else's thoughts that they're trying to make you think. And that's another reason why it's important to not spell certain things completely out, because you do give people that opportunity to have their own reflection about, their own life. I mean, and to me, I know this is a little bit like not off, but I don't know. Did you ever see that film Parasite?
It does ring a bell. Can you explain it to me? What it was about?
Yeah, I will without giving it away. So it's obviously kind of something that starts off as a black comedy, turns into a thriller, and it's very kind of gruesome. But one of the things that I liked about it is that it shows you a lot of different points of view from different characters' points of view. It's showing you what's going on, but there's never a point where it's telling you exactly how you're supposed to think about all of these situations. There's never a point where it's telling you you should feel this or you should feel that, but it presents different scenarios for you as the viewer to go, oh, well, when so-and-so did this, that was kind of selfish. Or when so-and-so did that, that was kind of like they are so removed from their reality that they are not paying attention to so-and-so, right? But like none of that is explicitly said. Nobody is actually saying that. But you as the viewer noticing, seeing all of these people in their lives, being, connected to like a similar situation, but just experiencing things different ways. That's something that didn't need to be spelled out. And I think that's one of the brilliant things, and there's many brilliant things about Parasite, but like in the end of the day, I don't want to tell somebody exactly, oh, you should this or you should that, right? Because then they're not doing it from a place of where they want to. And then that's control. And that's exactly what a lot of these fucking evil forces want to do, is they just want to control you. And to me, like you mentioned about Buddhism and Christianity a little bit, like one of the things that confuses people about some of these Eastern religions like Buddhism is that there's not really a focus on morals. Because with self-awareness, you just naturally, if you have self-awareness, you're just going to want to do better. I know you want to say something, so please stop me.
No, I was saying, yeah, with the Buddhism, there is like this, you basically, you almost check out because you are so ready to let go of the different things that you essentially just don't really want to do anything anymore except be with yourself and understanding yourself and how you can prosper in a sense. And I get the Buddha characteristics, but I also align with Christ consciousness because to do more and help people is a big part of my life. And I was brought up in that for a while, and I understand it very well. And, vengeance, revenge, fear, living in that frequency is not going to evolve my brain. It's not going to push me into a higher field of consciousness. It's not going to send me into the higher dimensions after this life. So that's why I want to go ahead and use these two characteristics that I align with to embed it into my brand, embed it into my message, and embed it into the world at large.
Yeah, no, 100%. Going a little bit back to the comic, we're talking about like all of these enemies, like surveillance or, and a ton of other things. So does your character ever use cryptographic proofs to verify truth without revealing secrets rather than engaging in witch hunts?
Actually, no, but I think that'd be a great idea.
Oh, okay. I was just curious because you're very like, you've been in a lot of blockchain communities. You told me that, but like you met some people with the Solana Foundation and you had a really great time with it. So, I mean, like, I wondered how much you were getting on, just like the builder side of things. And okay. If I'm being silly, I might be being silly, but just because,
no, I never thought about implementing that into the QTIP story as messaging technology, but that is something that in the future I believe everybody will be using, hopefully. And this story does range in different timelines, and the technology will be ranging in different areas of time. So, that type of technology for sure. I mean, encryption and all that stuff is very important. Privacy is very important. So I definitely have that in the, you gave me a great idea for the messaging dashboard in QTIP Starship. So there you go.
I mean, I didn't give you the idea. Like, I talked about something that I thought was kind of obvious. And now you actually created about how you want to have it implemented in it, like on the Starship is where you want to have these messages. I didn't tell you that. That was your idea. But well, like,
we did it together.
Oh, okay. We did it together. Yay. Because like celebration, right? I think it's great. And, resilience is a huge part of all of this. And, as I had Alan Rojas on a couple of days ago, and we were talking about how, cryptography has, been evolving for so many, like thousands of years and whatnot. And, it is about resilience, like making things, making the code more difficult to crack. Like no matter what happens, just always kind of fighting back. And, the Solana community obviously showed incredible resilience when FTX collapsed, right? They forked,
100%.
they forked Serum into open book in just 5 days. And that is the Renaissance spirit. Rebuild, don't rage. Do you think that fiction helps us build that same kind of community resilience? Or maybe not.
Yeah, the resilience that Solana had to keep on going from $8 all the way up to $2.90 is incredible and actually very, very respectable. Like I have never seen that in crypto, really. I mean, there's a bunch of pump and dumps, but do they continue on after they dump? No. Solana did have a very serious incident with FTX and the whole drama with Sam Bankman-Fried, and that really hurt Solana. But if you're an opportunist, you could have got Solana $8. Holy shit! And let me tell you something. The big people that came in with ETFs, they picked up Solana at $8. Think about that.
Whoa. Like, think about that, right? No, 100% think about that, right?
Just look at the market right now. We got a Clarity Act about to hit Trump's desk, and everything is fucking red. Go figure.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole nother ball of wax.
They want the best assets in the world cheap. And anything it takes. Anything. If I had a couple $1 billion on the sideline, I would say, hey, let's get some discounts going.
Nice. So if it's okay for me to just ask you a little bit more about, like, the comic, right? So looking ahead, do you
100%, but I just want to warn you, my phone is on 5%. I think it can last, but let's try to do just like 1 or 2 more questions.
Okay, just one more question for you, right? So if someone leaves this stream, right, and they're inspired, by this, what is the one practical step that you would tell them to take? Should they start exploring zero knowledge proof privacy tools? Should they start just questioning the status quo in their own life? I'm just curious, because that is how we participate in this renaissance.
If you're watching this right now, you need to sit back and put on the documentary, The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin, and start there and understand this technology. Now, if you understand this technology, learn how to develop and help these federations move forward. Now, if you could do that, great. If you can't do that, learn as much as you can for the future of finance, because this is the future of finance. And it's going to be on Solana, it's going to be with Bitcoin, and a couple other layer ones. If you can learn right now with a it's about $2.7 trillion market cap industry, right now, we could potentially see, when we're like, I don't know, in 20 years, you could see this market cap go up to 10, 20, 30, $40 trillion industry market cap in crypto. And that's still nothing. It's still nothing, because the stock market is like 450, and it keeps going up and up and up. So, housing too is in the trillions. So with this market cap being so low, take the time to learn about all these different technologies and see how you can implement it in your life, because in the future, you might just need them.
Damn! Well, that's amazing. That's a wrap. No, in the future we will. Like, whether you guys like it or not, crypto is the future, and it's here to stay. So you may as well get in the game, get in now. Otherwise, you're going to be somebody else's NPC.
10,000%.
All right. Thank you so much, QTIP. This has been an amazing episode. Citizen Glitch out. Bye.
Love you all. Peace out.